One usage point that teachers like to track is how much time their students are spending working in the iReady online lessons. Once your students complete the diagnostic, they will automatically be assigned a course of lessons. They'll have 20 lessons queued up and ready to go that will teach them the skills that the diagnostic identified as being the most critical for them. They'll be placed into those lessons automatically, and the next time they log in, they'll start working on them. Teachers often want to track this. They may have school usage requirements. There may be state usage requirements. So understanding how much time your students are spending in the online lessons is important. It's very easy to do. When I go to my Home tab, if I click on Reports, I'm going to look at a class report called Class Response to Instruction. This report is different than some of the others we've looked at in that it's going to report specifically about the online lessons. The other reports that we've looked at deal a lot with the diagnostic and the results of that initial assessment or mid-year, in-year assessment. This report specifically tells you how the students are doing in those online lessons. So I can pick my class, and then it's going to ask me for show activity. So I can look at all activity, last month or last week, or I could set a specific window. So if I wanted to see how much time did they spend between September 1st and September 10th, I could go in and set that specific window. In this case, I'm just going to look at all activity. I want to get a big picture view of how much time my kids are spending on this online lessons since we've started. I hit Create Report. It shows me here's my class, second grade math class. Overall, my class has completed and passed 373 lessons. They've completed 438, so they have an overall pass rate of 85%. That's pretty good. I can see that they're doing pretty well in all of the domains. They've spent more lessons in numbers and operations, which is to be expected in math because that's one of the foundational areas. As I scroll down, I can begin to see specifically by student how much time they have been working in iReady. So if we were to assume that we had been in school for 3 weeks and we had a usage requirement of 1 hour per week, I should be able to look at this column and see that most of my students are right around that 3-hour mark. Here I've got 2:45, 3 hours, 2 hours and 25 minutes. So it looks like most of my kids are pretty close to that. As I scroll down, I see an alert. And this alert tells me that Ashley's overall pass rate in her lessons is lower than the threshold that's been set. In this case, the default threshold is 70%. So as we look at Ashley, we see that she's passed 8 out of 12 lessons, which is lower than 70%. So this gives me an alert, and this is my first indication that I might want to dive in and look more deeply at what lessons Ashley is working on and what areas she might be struggling with. We're not going to go into that in this video, but I wanted you to be aware of that indication on this report for you. Again, from a usage standpoint, this class response to instruction is probably the quickest, easiest way for you to get a look at all of your kids and see, are they all close to the usage requirement that has been set? As a reminder, iReady recommends 45 minutes per week per subject. And our research has shown that students who use iReady online lessons for at least 45 minutes per week score significantly higher than their peers who don't. In some cases, more than 50% higher than their peers who do not use the assessment. So it's really critical that you encourage your students to use the program, that you schedule lab time, get them down to the lab. You might want to offer before or after school periods when they can come in and use the lab, and certainly encourage your students to access their lessons from home. It's a web-based program. All they need is their username and password, and the more time they spend in their online lessons, the better their growth is going to be.